Ahoy, mateys, and welcome to Just Skirvin. I am one of ye captains, Sean Hoffman. I thought I'd try it, but I'm not going to do that ever again. Welcome to Just Showin'. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman, and unfortunately, Andy is not going to be here with us today. He's had some medical things pop up, and we're thinking of him. We're thinking of you, buddy, and he's going to be back soon, and we're going to let him tell that story when he's back. But if everybody can just keep him in your hearts, and he'll be back soon enough. But we do have somebody filling in for him today. Thankfully, it's not just going to be me rambling on with one-liners and actually having a coherent conversation today. And thankfully, we have our good friend Turbo here with us. How's it going, buddy?
I don't know about coherent conversations, but I'll try my best and string some words together. But yeah, really thinking about Andy. Love you, mate. And hopefully you'll get back soon, and we'll be chatting soon. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just mentioning that right before we started recording. I'm like, man, like I just had like the wave of like an epiphany hit me. I'm like, oh no, like. Normally Andy's the one who gets like excited and like when a guest comes on and he just kind of runs with that and sit in the passenger seat and just kind of like, I don't know, just
go into cruise control.
Just going to cruise control and I just throw ad libs in here and there. And it's like, oh crap, I can't like do that today. I actually have to like be present and like, oh no, what have I done? I should have been more prepared. But I think we're pretty good. I feel like I think we'll be all right. We got some good content out there. We got some cool stuff going on. We're going to talk a little bit about what we've been watching. We're going to talk a little celebration, the usual suspects. And, but I think a good place to start it off is guess first. What's new in your life? Any new shows, games, recipes, anything exciting?
What's new in my life? Yeah, it's December. I don't know about other people, but December is just a very frantic time of year. End of school in Australia, so my boys are finishing up next week at school. So there's a lot of end of year sort of Christmas, festivities and school assemblies, awards. My son finishes primary school. My younger son finishes primary school next week and heading to high school next year. So
nice.
Kind of fairly daunting for him. We had his band, I guess you would call it a school band party last night. So
nice.
That was good time. I actually skipped my work Christmas party just to go to the school band party. So yeah, family priorities.
I feel like you made the right decision there. I feel like that's...
Well, I'm not hungover. Put it that way. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, that'd be crazy if you were like that. That'd be
crazy kid party. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have I been watching? As I said, it's pretty busy. Obviously, Skeleton Crew. The two shows I'm currently watching are Silo and Shrinking.
Okay.
So fairly up to date with those. Really loving those. At the moment. And in terms of movies, I think last week, one of the craziest movies I've seen in a while last week was The Substance.
Okay.
I'm a big horror fan. This one stars Demi Moore, and it is absolutely insane. I can't really talk too much about it. I just highly recommend it if you're into horror. If you're not into horror and you're a bit queasy when it comes to certain genre, you can imagine that's something like in the style of a Cronenberg film, sort of a body horror kind of film.
The title sounds like a body horror film. There's something about the vibe.
Absolutely insane. But Demi Moore is great in it, and I was kind of taken aback by a lot of what I saw. But yeah, it is a really well made film.
Nice,
great direction, cinematography, just music. It's just intense.
Good deal. Yeah, I just looked at the poster on IMDb and it's like, I think that alone is like, that's not what I expected. It's just, it looks like intense. I put it on my list. I don't know if it's going to be the top of my list, but it's I like those ones where it's not my horror picks are very interesting. Like, I think I usually like the exact opposite of what most people like. Like mine are Paranormal Activity. I don't know what those are. I love those films. Those are just, and then like weird body horror ones sometimes, like not like Human Centipede kind of stuff, but like Thing, stuff like that. Like,
Yep.
those weird, goofy effects. Maybe it's like the effects side of it that I think is really cool. But interesting.
Yeah. That's really it in terms of what I'm watching. Taking some time off over Christmas. My oldest son is currently playing his way through Outlaws. So he got that a couple of months ago. So he's begging me to play, but every night I feel like I'm either doing work or I keep telling him I'll do it on the weekend, and then you have like jobs to do, parent stuff, and I kind of feel like Wim's dad in a way sometimes. It's like you've got your dad there, and you want your dad's attention. But look, I've got some time off, so hopefully I'll get to play it over summer. Got about close to 2 weeks off over Christmas and New Year, so I'm hoping to get into Outlaws. Yeah,
like I was getting into it there for a while, but now that like it's one of those ones where I just like you're saying, like December is that time where it's like I feel like I have a lot of time, but I have no time. It's I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna play some Outlaws. Then it's like, well, I've got 700 other things I got to get done. Like I gotta coordinate gifts, or I've got to make candy, or I've got to suddenly shovel 3 feet of snow out of the driveway, or God knows why, or I'm behind in work. And so it's like Outlaws always seems to be the one that takes the back seat.
It took a back seat for me, especially, and this could go into a segment of just decking, but
yes, I was gonna say, are we gonna make it through it? We're gonna make it through without talking about decking?
No,
yes.
I won't go into great detail, but like I think I was there last time when we were starting off a whole sort of 2 or 3 month process of going through all the decks in the house. And it may sound like I have a very big house, but I have 4 decks in the house. And I think Sean's seen photos. It is a mammoth effort. It takes literally months of Sundays. And I had to get that done before we had our family Christmas at our house. We were hosting family Christmas for 25-ish people, pool, barbecue, that sort of thing. So that was my deadline. I had to get the decks done. And they're done for summertime. So pretty relieved.
And they're nice. They look really good. Like, you're talking about having that many people. I wouldn't have 10 people stand out on mine. Like, that's like that. But yours are like top tier. Like, you should put pictures of like, that looks like modern, professional, nice, stable.
It's all hardwood. So we live in a bushfire zone. So you have to use hardwood everywhere. Really dense, grade hardwood.
Yeah, you'd think we should, but we don't.
No, our local councils are pretty strict around that. There are certain fire zones where they don't even allow to use timber. It all has to be, steel. Yeah.
I think if we had a different, not climate, but a different political climate, I think we would have stuff like that here. Like they try. I mean, because I don't know if you could live in a place in the U.S. that is more fire prone than where I live. Just literal wildfire central. Like to the point where it's a struggle to get insurance. When we should have stuff like that, like we have like rules about how close trees can be to your home and things like that, and just all those rules. But we should have more composites and things like that. But it's just not. But
America,
woo. But yeah. Anything else exciting going on besides decking, parties, graduations?
No, that's it. Nothing else to report apart from Skello Crew. I don't know about you, but when it's Star Wars TV time or Star Wars season or whatever you want to call it, I kind of get overwhelmed. My thoughts become overwhelmed with Star Wars, so I can't think about anything else.
Same.
I have to rewatch it and then think about things and then read things and listen to my friends talk about things. And I get a single focus.
I get single focus, and I'd say, especially now that like we're doing this podcast and stuff, it's almost worse now because now I get into like weird things of like, well, I want to have like my thoughts, like, but not be super tainted by everybody else's. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I want to hear my friends, but I also don't want, like, I want to like share my opinions with this, but like, but I also want to speculate with people and like, oh God, what's the order of operations? Like, how do I do this? And so it's fun because you want to be involved and you want to like be part of the hype, but then it is crazy. Like the day an episode drops, it's like, it just feels like chaos. Like there's so much going on.
Yeah.
There's so much to consume. It's like, yeah. And then it just trickles down through the week. And my mind just becomes 100% Star Wars television.
One thing I've avoided this round is, I've deleted Twitter, at least deleted Twitter off my phone. So that's one thing. And I'm just generally not avoiding social media, but just not really too concerned about what the zeitgeist is on social media about the thing.
Yeah.
And just really listening to what my friends think about it on podcasts and stuff, and having group chats or whatever. But I think it's healthy to not listen to people across the world that you don't really know or care about. So
yeah. I'm a huge fan of criticism, constructive criticism, but sometimes it's not. You don't always have to. Sometimes you can just like things, and I think I'm in the same boat. Like, I mean, I deleted Twitter, deactivated my account, and I think the little social media that I do get on is just it's really, what's weird is it's not even anybody really talking about Skeleton Crew besides like Skeleton Crew is fun. It's like, okay, like there's not much deeper than that, or it's links to other content. It does seem to be a lot more actually talking about the Acolyte, which is weird. Like it's very odd that it's like the bulk of the social media I do see is like active, deep discussions on the Acolyte. So it's actually kind of nice. Like I'm able to just sit back and enjoy Skeleton Crew for what it is with my friends. And it's almost like returning to like an age of innocence, kind of like it feels like the beginning of like the Force Awakens and stuff again, when like we're all just excited and not overthinking it. Like I'm very prone to doing this, especially for like the show. I've had to catch myself multiple times, the Skeleton Crew, like just going down this rabbit hole of like, what's the bigger picture? And it's like, dude, just stop. Like, just enjoy it. Like, it doesn't have to be this. It could be, that'd be cool, or not. That's cool too. But like, I don't need to make it more. I could just sit back and enjoy it for what it is. And that's fine. That's fun. But we can jump. We're already here. We're already in Skeleton Crew. So let's just roll into that. So at a high level, what's your high level thoughts so far? Episodes 1 through 3. You digging it? Not for you? I mean, I think we can already assume, but I'll let you say it.
No, this is exactly what I needed, and I think a lot of Star Wars fans needed. It's just a light, refreshing, fun romp, parody romp. Great for kids to watch, great for the whole family to watch. I sit down after school, so as soon as my kids get home from school, my older son's really into Star Wars. My youngest couldn't really care too much, but he'll humor me and watch it. But for this particular one, I think he's digging it. He's exactly, my youngest is 12, and he is, it's the right age. It's absolutely the right age. I mean, it's the whole, what he's going through in his life in terms of, going to high school next year, making new friends, trying to understand what he's going to do in life, or at least think about studying, or just that. I remember that myself, and I'm flashing back to that time myself. It is really daunting, and there's a bigger world out there, and then he's going to have to start, catching a train to school by himself, or hopefully with friends, and it's really resonating with the family, and so it's a good routine to do that first watch with your kids, because you realize that's really what it's there for, and I just enjoy it myself as well.
Yeah. It feels like it feels like it's good for that age without, in my opinion, falling into that trope that a lot of stuff like that does, where it almost feels like it's pandering, like where it falls into those same kind of like, I always call it the middle school boy book titles, where it's like,
Oh yeah,
oh, I'm a monster. Brr, brr, brr. What's it
yeah,
like
yeah,
to
yeah,
be a brr? And it's like, you get what I'm saying. I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah,
Where it's
yeah,
like, you're a boy and you're a middle schooler and you're awkward. It's like, it's so adults talking to kids. Like this
yeah, yeah,
feels like it doesn't have all of that. Like, oh, the boys think the girls are cute and the girls think the boys have cooties and da, 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 and they're all
yeah,
just unintentionally mean to each other. It's like, no, they're just two groups of friends who are just kind of like they like and don't like each other at times, and they're off on an
yeah,
adventure, and it just is what it is. It doesn't have to be this, I don't know, the stereotype of maybe how
yeah,
the stories used to unfold. I just think it's kind of refreshing and nice to like let the kids be like actual characters and not like
yeah,
caricatures. It's kind of nice.
yeah. And I'm loving the dynamics between the kids is great. I mean, um, Wim and Neil, to me, they're like the Frodo and the Samwise of the story.
Yeah,
Um, I'm hoping Neil becomes the unsung hero or the hero at the end. You know, he's becoming a bit more brave. You know, he's the original, you know, feeling with him is he just wants to get home, right? That's
yeah.
he doesn't want to be there. He's a little bit scared, a little bit daunting for him, whereas Wim wants the adventure. But I think Neil's gonna be the hero in this one. I think towards the end. Yeah,
It is interesting to see like what to think about that. Like, what is all of their arcs? What are their arcs going to be? Like, Neil seems like it's like a bravery kind of thing.
yeah,
The ones I struggle with are Wim and Fern, because like KB's you can kind of see too, like her weaving with like the animals and the relationships with other people, and kind of like being like the tech kind of role.
mm,
But with Wim and Fern, like especially Fern, she kind of took a back seat in this last episode, of being kind of like the brash smuggler. It's like, what are they? Is it going to be the negotiation between those two of like, how do they turn and
yeah.
have some closure with whatever their arcs are?
Well, maybe they won't have an arc. You know, it could just be kids
They're just
being
there.
kids. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're just hanging out.
yep,
They're just friends. Maybe they just end and they're friends and they're not
yeah,
they're not fighting each other for the captain's seat anymore. They're like, you know what, we respect each other, and then we go
yeah,
home, and then tomorrow we go back to school. We do the Batman and Alfred nod at each other at the lunch table and go, that was fun.
yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, in terms of this particular episode, interesting title. Well, it's got the word interesting in it, I think. Interesting as an astrogation problem, something like that. Is that right?
That sounds
Um,
right. If I remember the Star Wars spelled out episode title properly, I believe that was in there. Yeah.
yeah. And I'd like to know the Google stats of how many people search for astrogation as well. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah.
sounds like it is what it is, right? It's astro or navigation, astrogation. One of my
But
nitpicks
I
was,
bet the numbers were through the roof. I bet as soon as
oh
that
yeah,
hit.
yeah.
What's funny is I have like a notification thing that like as soon as like episodes go up on the streaming services, I get like a notification. And what's funny is the day before it, it's not normally wrong, but it actually had a different title. It sent me like a different title when like it was like added to the service, and then it changed like right before it went live for all of us. And it was like, whoa,
What was the
I don't
title?
know. What did it say? It said it was talk amongst
Because
yourselves.
I also noticed there was a spelling error and it was astrogration. And I mean, I'm just being nitpicky here, but I was like, what's astrogation? Do they mean astrogation? And according to my Disney Plus, it still says astrogration. But anyway,
That's
it
weird.
is what it
That's
is.
weird. Where did TV feed? It was
It's
called
probably
Coming of Age is what it was originally had on it.
wow. Okay. Could be something in that. But maybe it's just a Disney Plus, you know, engineered or someone just doing a typo, publishing, hit publish.
Last minute changes,
Yeah.
press and publish. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was intriguing. Then it's like, yeah, we're gonna go with the long version. It's like, all right, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're digging it. You like the interactions. What do you think of Mr. Jude Law? How you liking his character so far? Any
Yeah,
oh
he's a good mix of like sort of a Han Solo rogue and a little bit mysterious, and yeah, he's obviously got multiple identities, multiple names. But I think he's acting really well with the kids as well. A lot of the interaction with the kids is kind of fun. It's
mhm,
I'd say it's just you can tell he's having a good time. Like
yeah.
he's hamming it up a little bit in a way, but not too over the top. Um, but yeah, there's obviously a lot of mystery there with his character, but I'm sure we'll find out, and we don't need to think too hard about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like he's
he-
not he's not intentionally cruel. Like he could be like a pirate. It's like, oh, you're gonna take me to where I'm gonna go, but he's like I know there's a power dynamic. Like he needs them to get back somehow.
yeah, he needs their
Whatever,
ship. Yeah,
he needs their ship and stuff. Like he has a blaster. And, like he could just do it. But it is nice that he's like, I almost want to say like treats them as equals in a way, like them as a unit. It's like, all right, okay, deal. Like kind of the deal, but I don't know. It's kind of fun to see a character take the kids seriously, even though they do have a droid kind of backing him up. Like, but still, it's
yeah.
a fresh take.
And I kind of like how the pace of how it's moving, especially around like the little mystery aspects. So we see in episode 2 at the end, in the shadows, picking out of the shadows, and then you see them escape with the key and the
Mm.
potentially using the force with the key. And then in this episode, the kids are all in the universe asking the questions that we asked last week. Like, how's he going to do this? Was he going to use a piece of string, or is it like,
Was it magnets? Was
magnets?
it a tractor beam? What did
Yeah.
he use?
And I like
Yeah.
that. I like that they haven't dwelled on that, and they're just the kids are actively asking the questions that we asked, and it's kind of refreshing.
It's almost like they had the writers like looking at it from that perspective and saying like, how can we keep the pace moving and like address these things, but also in a way that's kind of like under the covers going, like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how did he do it? It's like it doesn't matter. Let them say it. Be like, have it be like a kid problem. Like, it could have been magnets, could have been tractor beam. Like it's in a way you could perceive it as like, let's make fun of the people. Let's make fun of us. Be like,
Yeah, let's make fun of the adults, like all the adults
Yeah.
like us,
Yeah.
speculating, talking about, has he got the force? Doesn't he have the
Yeah.
force? It's like,
What the key was wiggling a little bit. I think it was on a string, and it was like friction on the string. It's like, but then all of a sudden they just cut away. Like it doesn't matter because there he's flying in the thing. It's like, and we're off to the races again. It's like, oh, okay,
the
moving
funniest
again.
thing is I heard, I love Horse and Steel, that on Steele's show, they talked about the magnetism of the key versus the actual key ring.
Yeah.
Trying to determine, that was fun.
It's like, what is the equivalent of? I remember watching that because I like to get in and fuel that fire a little bit every once in a while. It's like, well, what are the metals? It looks like a skeleton key, so it's like, do they have the equivalent of iron and like iron in Star Wars? Like, would that be like a ferrous metal? Like,
Yeah.
what would that even be? And so,
It's like the kids just ask these questions and then they just move on. Like,
Yeah.
don't. It's basically telling the audience, just don't overthink it. Just have fun. Yeah.
it's like, oh, because that was my theory. I'm like, oh, I think it's like a handheld tractor beam because the first episode they stopped the ship midair to board it, and I'm like, oh, I think that's foreshadowing. And then when those kids were like, oh, it could have been a tractor beam, that's like, oh, dang, that I feel called out. Yep, yeah, I should just sit back and eat my popcorn and enjoy it for what it is. I need to learn what it's like to be a kid watching Star Wars again.
Yep.
That's my takeaway.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else? So there's the whole. So I know some of our friends are not big fans of pirate speak, piratey things. Where does that land with you in terms of the Star Wars? 'Cause I know in some ways, like especially with Smee and some of the other things, they're leaning pretty hard into this. I'm sure there's a term for it, like pirate speak, pirate-esque kind of
Yeah.
things. Where is that landing for you? Is it not? Is it
Yeah, it absolutely lands for me. I mean, I don't see anything out of the ordinary of having pirates in Star Wars. And the accents as well. Like, if you really think about it, there's always been different accents in Star Wars like that to sort of ham it up, or
mhm.
you've got the English, English, imperial officers and Tarkin, and then well, they're the bad guys. They're speaking
Yeah,
proper English, and
yeah,
and then from our perspective, from an Australian, you've got most of the original trilogy that have an American accent, right? And you got
mhm.
Lando. Lando's like, stereotypically African American black dude, just that accent, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I, I don't see anything different about this. It's just another aspect,
Yeah.
like someone from, I don't know, the north of England or Bristol or something, with Nick
Yeah.
Frost. Or just it's,
It's like
it's it is what it is, and
it,
then you get Australians in Star Wars. You get Australian actors, and you get Mendo like slightly moving in towards the Australian accent. Yeah, that's interesting. Jack
it's like
Tom.
it leans towards more like a culture of like it lends itself besides like the tropes of like pirates and stories and Treasure Island and things like that. Like it's saying something similar. Like, typically, what Star Wars does, they'll take the language and they'll make it about like it'll describe
Hmm.
who that those creatures or whatever are about. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. Like they're literal pirates. They have a Tortuga like
Yeah.
space station or whatever that thing would be considered, and like I like the extra hamming it up. I mean, I'm personally a fan, especially for Smee. Like just that little bit of like I like that little bit extra like Star Wars spice that they'll throw in. Where I'm like, sometimes it's not a dig against fans, but I sometimes I like to perceive it that way. It's like, oh, I'm gonna lean back in and go, "Aye, one last time." It's
I,
like if it's for the kids, cause to get the kids chuckle, but just I don't know that kind of
I,
stuff.
yeah,
Aye, it's like oh, all day. Just bring more of that, more of the just cleverness, like Edgar Wright
yeah.
kind of the cheesiness in there, and we need it more variety in Star
The
Wars.
only
So
thing that I don't want to happen in terms of like pirates and our version of pirates, our Earth version of pirates, is to have some sort of musical song where the pirates are all doing a shanty or something, singing
yeah,
along. I don't really want a musical aspect to it. Like, I think that would be a bit too far, to do.
that I think now that you say that, it's like there are some tropes like, yeah, I don't want to see like a space battle where they're using like space cannons. Like that's
Yeah, yeah,
where they got like portholes. They're like, oh, push the star cannons up in the hole. And then it's like, okay, now we're going too far. Like
mm,
now we've crossed that. Like it already went a little crazy with like the big acorn hat things. It's like, okay, but it is old. So like maybe we could brush some of that stuff under the rug. But when you start doing like Treasure Planet, full blown things, or like barrels of gunpowder, people are walking around with steins and sleeping with
yeah,
the pigs. It's like, all right, we're going a little too hard on the Pirates of the Caribbean theme.
yeah,
Like, let's slow that roll down. Uh,
yeah.
but I'm enjoying that nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the mystery aspect of the planet. I love that the planet at Aten is, there's something simmering under the surface, and they're slowly addressing, each week they're slowly addressing the mystery aspect of it. And now we know that the planet has been hidden, and the kids are essentially roughly from Old Republic times, would you say, or High Republic? I think it's been
This is quite
roughly
the topic of
confirmed.
yeah, this is quite the topic of debate these days, with different sources looking at subtitles and seeing capital letters, some seeing lowercase letters.
Right, right, that far.
No, no.
Okay.
And what old, how old, or how capital O old are we talking? Or is that even like accurate if we did scrutinize it, if it did come with a capital O?
Yeah.
Um,
Look, regardless of what it is, we know that it's before the Empire. The kids aren't
mhm.
aware of a war. Like, the war? What war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And
thing that's most interesting to me is it's not even necessarily how long they've been isolated. I guess probably the way to say it. It's why are they like? I'm most interested in like who is the supervisor and why are they still isolated? What are the means in which they're still isolated?
Yes.
Uh,
Who is the supervisor?
that
Yeah.
is so.
Well,
I
the other question is, does the supervisor even exist? Is it? I started digging. Is it some sort of AI, and they've just been talking to this supervisor that's lived all this time, and
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Turbo, because you're halfway down my wild harebrained theory that is cropped up
only
after listening
halfway.
to my friends. I'm of the belief. So it started from hearing some of our friends talk. It's like, oh, maybe they're kind of like the Wall-E ship,
Yep.
and they're like, oh, they're on autopilot, and the autopilot's just like got a mission that it thinks is supposed to be right. But I was like, that's too. I mean, it could be it. I think that's still great, fantastic. But I'm like, that's too easy for me to theorize. I got to go deeper. So then I was like, what if it is sentient? Like it is a droid that is the supervisor, or at least overseeing everything, but it knows what it's doing, and the humans are technically just slaves to the droid, unknowingly. The droids are actually in control. They have outside contact, like the droid Gatra and all those other, whatever those like droid mobs are that are in all the books, where it's like the droids' rights people, and like they have outside contact. That's why the droids are modern, because everybody keeps talking about all that. It's like, oh, and they're the ones facilitating all the outside communications and shipments and whatever. And humans just don't have any clue, and so they just like create this like suburbia style, like easy living lifestyle for
because
humans.
they're happy about their environment, and it would be a nice suburb to live in. But and that's why you keep them happy and keep them working. Kids are playing out in the street.
Because I wonder if there's something that human or like sentient beings can do that droids can't, and that's what they need them for. That's what I'm worried. Like I'm way down the rabbit hole now of like, and that's what the analyst does. It's like we need the humans because there's something in our programming that prevents us from doing this, but we need them to do that so then we can continue to be this like droid pirate gang that rules this world in secrecy. I'm so wrong, but I'm loving where my head is at right now.
That's all good. I mean, that's what we do, and I'm sure my kids aren't thinking about this. They're just going, "Yeah, cool story."
Blue Elephant Guy, neat.
Although my oldest son's reading Orwell's 1984 in school. He's in year 11, so he's picking up on a few of those sort of themes, and like the safety droids. The safety droids are looking like literally cameras on legs, basically with legs, someone's watching, everyone's being watched to some degree. And, but yeah, there's definitely something under the surface. Obviously there's talk of the currency aspect, something to do with fungible currency. And they're doing it could just be one big space Bitcoin mining operation. Who knows? Talk of funding, Palpatine's return, all these wild and crazy stories, but in the end, it's probably just going to be something really simple.
It's an nebula.
We just overthink things.
It's just. But the key is not being upset when we're wrong. It's not if we're wrong. It's when I am inevitably wrong every episode. I don't get mad about it, and that's what makes Star Wars enjoyable.
Well, it's keep the speculation fun, basically.
Yeah. Don't pin my hopes on it. It's like
because I'm not a storyteller. I read stories and watch stories that I couldn't write this. I couldn't come up with any of this. I'm not that creative, right? So you just gotta let the story wash over you, and if you want to speculate, you can.
I can't even write a sentence that's not a run-on, like let alone write an actual narrative.
So trust the creatives,
Yeah, they're doing. I think they're doing an all right job so far. So I have faith that they'll get us to where we need to go. One thing that I'll add that I've heard a lot of people speculating about, they're comparing KB, who is far and away my favorite so far, they're comparing. I'm seeing a lot of comparisons of like why she has the headgear and like comparing her to Lobot,
Mm.
which is kind of odd to me because I feel like Lobot. I feel like he had like a lobotomy, and so he was kind of more droid than human. But I feel like KB in my mind, and I'm curious to hear somebody else's opinion on this because it kind of came to me today. I'm like, I guess I always saw her as kind of like a Star Wars equivalent of like an accessibility, like an ADA kind
Yeah.
of like a kid with a disability, and like this is just their disability device thing. They don't explicitly say what it is.
It's just
Like,
augmentation. It's augmentation.
Yeah.
It's not like replacing something.
Yeah, it's not like, I'm not trying to like, oh, we're parents and we just hooked our kid up to a machine. It's like, no, there was a reason, and so then they needed to do it.
Well, it makes sense in what the parents said. I think they said that she has a life monitor and that they couldn't track the life monitor anymore. I don't know whether the visor or thing is the life monitor itself, or it might be something else that's monitoring her. But they also mentioned she had very urgent medical needs as well. And I don't know whether that is just something like, a parental helicopter parent worrying about if the child's taking their tablets or whatever, but or something more serious in terms of her medical needs. So
yeah, I kind of saw like those dogs that you can get, like if you have that, like will like sit in front of you if it smells something, you're about to pass out, like, but it's instead of a dog, it's like the thing on your head. It's like, hello. Like that, it's I kind of see like that. People like, oh, she's augmented for these reasons. Like I guess I saw it as the opposite. It's like it's more of a medical thing, but like a Star Wars take on it. So,
that makes more sense. Sounds reasonable. Yeah.
What else we got going on? Another fun thing I noticed about this episode, I love the fact that the starship is just like Pigpen. It just, even if it's just sitting in space, it's just got that dust and dirt cloud just constantly around it. Like that makes zero sense, but I find it hilarious that it's there. Like, I don't know if it has to do with the fact that it was buried in dirt or if it's just like, oh, it's so old, but it's just a funny detail.
Yeah. I mean, I don't wash my car that much, so my car looks like it's a bit of a
Why would
mess.
I wash it when it rains? Like, that's what the rain's for. But I also don't sit in traffic with a cloud of dirt
True.
that's just surrounding it. When I take off, it just like floats behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of dead bodies on that ship, though. It's like,
that is true. What's funny is like nobody's cleaned up. Like we're on episode 3, and like the bodies are still just there.
Yeah.
Like he just took all the knife.
Like jumps on the bed and there's a big puff of like probably human
skin.
Not ash, but human skin, basically dead skin.
Yeah, it's like they're snoring. Well, Fern's snoring with her mouth open. It's like, guys, what are we doing? This is.
You got a vacuum there or something? Like just eject it into space.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is us going too deep again. This is where they're like, yeah, this is not what kids think about.
No.
But okay, what else is going on? So, do you think you mentioned that like you feel like it's maybe correct me if I'm wrong, you don't think it's connected to the larger stories. Do you feel like the show is going to end this season, this series, whatever the end of these 8 or 9 episodes are? Do you feel like it's going to try to connect to everything else, or do you feel like they're going to let it be its thing? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or is it?
I think it's hard to tell these days because there's no certainty about a second season. The creators did talk about they have some ideas, but typically what normally happens is that it'll be a nice tied off in a bow story, but there'll be little threads hanging that can be connected to other bits and pieces. So I think it'll be a self-contained story. I guess I just assume that the kids will get home again. But then what will happen with that planet? Will the planet be available, or will a planet be known to the rest of the galaxy now? Yeah, will pirates come and try and take whatever treasure is there?
Yeah.
It's
That's the interesting part, because I remember talking about it with Andy after the first 2 episodes. It's like, it's hard to believe that like somebody's gonna find a way there without it exposing everybody, unless it becomes a John finds a way there, then he like leaves and he's like, I'll never tell anybody else about it, and they're back to
yeah,
secrecy, unless somebody comes out and gets them. So it is very interesting to see how they can tie it up, or maybe they won't, and it just all turns into chaos, and it's like, surprise, season 2. LOL, we do the whole time. But I hope as much as I love the story, the thing I do fear of very teeny tiny, like very tiny fear, is like, you don't want to drag this out for those kid actors, like a Stranger Things. Next thing you know, they're 25 years old playing 12-year-olds. And it's like get it going, get it done, and like move the story along for their sake too. And so
there was another interview I listened to about that, and they did refer to Stranger Things about the aging of actors, of child actors, and they said that if they do a second season, it would have to be a big time jump, because obviously they filmed it 2 years ago or even more, and yeah, the kids grow at that age, 12 to 14. I saw my son have a huge growth spurt, and you see it in Stranger Things, right?
Yeah,
the ages of 12 to 15, you literally can see kids grow.
You could put that 11-year-old haircut on that 18-year-old, and it does not. You're not tricking anybody. Like, it's
so at least the creators are acknowledging that and saying, well, if there is another one, it would have to be a time jump of 3 or 4 years at least.
Nice
at the end of that story. So yeah.
Good deal. Any other parting thoughts with the Skeleton Crew? Anything you hope to see? Anything major things we missed?
We didn't talk about that planet, the with the owl. Well,
the moon.
The moon. Yeah, I really liked one of the things when they were landing on that moon. I love that theremin. I love that theremin sound.
Yeah,
it's kind of like traditional science fiction-y kind of sound that I think it's a lot in Star Trek. I don't watch Star Trek myself, but it's that sort of Star Trek theme sound. That was pretty wild. And I love that backdrop of that planet. You can see the shadow of the kids and Judd walking by, and I thought that looked amazing. That interesting. We got that map from Kim. So obviously she talked about those seven or eight planets.
The jewels of the
Old Republic. Yeah. That's interesting. Again, how did those other planets disappear? Or we don't know. Another little mystery. Just keep feeding these little mysteries every episode, and
it's like, how convenient that all but one were destroyed or just don't exist anymore, and no, it's only the one. So, but I think it's all very intriguing too. It's like, don't go down the rabbit hole. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Just let it be. Let it be. Wait and see. But it is exciting. My favorite part too was, it's clearly a moon. Like, it's a moon. There's the planet right there. It's a moon because it's dusty. And it's like, do they need spacesuits? It's like, no, they're just gonna walk. And it's like, well, does it have an atmosphere? It's like, doesn't matter. Who cares? Just they're walking. It's like, yes, more of this. This is my kind of, like, we don't need Ahsoka in a weird head bubble suit doing outside things. It's like, no, there's an atmosphere. It's like, it's a moon though. It's like, done. Who cares?
So they obviously check the atmosphere as they're flying in, and we don't need to see that.
It's like, yeah, it's perfect. It's like, yes, more of this. Like, I don't know what you would call that, but it's like, it's a certain behavior I like when I see people exhibit it at work too. It's like, we're thoughtful and we're mindful about what we're doing and we're building, but there's a point where it's like, we could drill down and like do the other 80% of the iceberg, or we could just say, no, this is the decision, and it's a good one. It has an atmosphere. It's like, nice. I like the confidence. I like the assertive. Just, yes, go with it. That's my favorite. But no, the Kim was really cool. Like as soon as I saw her kind of come down, I'm like, it just reminded me so much of Aughra from Dark Crystal, like
Mm,
minus the the demeanor, but just the kind of, oh, I plot the space, the astral maps and things like that, and there almost seemed to be a little bit of a mystical side of it too, not just literal astrogation kind
mm,
of thing. It's like there's almost like a historical, a mystical, uh, even archaeological side of it too. Of like, like, ooh, like I know this, and then the mysticism side of things, and that's why there's all the tomes and this. Like a felt very, very much pulled from that. Minus the brash and stuff like an Aughra
yeah.
or whatever. But thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it's cool. Lastly, I think I enjoyed the kids sort of shooting down those X-wings or attempting to shoot down, but it was all very playful. It was like you're in Smuggler's Run or something. It was
Yeah,
nothing too dangerous. And I like the fact that they addressed that why didn't the X-wing pilot shoot him down? It's obviously because there's kids, you don't want to shoot down kids. And they address those concerns straight away, and then you move on, right? It's like
yeah. It wasn't
you don't
30
get
minutes.
you don't get adults like us sort of say, oh, why did? Of course he would have shoot down that ship. Like why is it? Why do they keep missing? It's like it's
Yeah,
a playful fight.
it was part of a conversation that was meaningful between Kim and the pilot, but they could just flip a line in there that doesn't need 30 minutes of exposition. They're like,
No,
why didn't you
yeah,
shoot it down? It's like, because there's kids.
duh.
It's like, oh, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess he did know that. That would make sense. Why an X-Wing pilot from the New Republic didn't want to just blow up a random ship of kids because there was a bad guy on the ship. I presume, which a presumed bad guy. I assume. I don't think they've ever said why they want Crimson Jack, if that's even his real name. Like, they came for him, but no one's ever has anybody ever said like why the New Republic? Why would they send X-Wings to get somebody?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, hey, the turbo's in my house. Next thing you know, 2 X-Wings come whipping across the galaxy. They're like, we got him. And we're just start shooting at a ship. It's like, well, wait a minute. It's like, so they must have a rapport somewhere with somebody.
I mean, it could be another one of his. So obviously, he's got 3 different names, 3 different. He might have a 4th. He might be a Jedi. Like this is the whole thing. He might have a Jedi name, or he might, and the X-wings want to track him down and take him somewhere else. I don't know. Who knows with him? He's
That's a good reason for him to stay on At-Aten if he ever makes it there, he can not have to face consequences. He could be hidden and stay with the kids and be the second dad they never knew.
Yeah.
Found dad.
I don't really need him to be a Jedi at all. I just think he's a bit of a con artist that has potentially a few force powers that he doesn't really know how to use. And he uses them when he needs to, and
Well, I think that's why I agree with that 100%, because it's like I think he tried to do something to that I don't know, his old crewmate who like intercepted him while he was stealing the SME back. I think he was trying to use the force on him because it kept doing that like force sound, like the whoa sound, but like it just wasn't affecting him. I'm like, is he not affected by the mind powers? It's like, oh, I just think he's just not good at it.
Yeah, no, he's just.
And he's like, oh, I guess we'll just have to get the captain. He's like, well, I guess that didn't work, so I guess I'm gonna have to kill him now. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's like he practices a lot, but he's not really formally trained in anything besides maybe moving a key and turning off a light switch, which is, I imagine, first year
Jedi training.
Yeah.
Lastly, like Wim is going through his data pad or through those obviously legends of Jedi stories from past or wherever. And I'm thinking, well, he doesn't know about the Empire. He doesn't know about the legend of Luke Skywalker or the adventures of Luke Skywalker. Are they going to try and, or Do you think they should, or do you think they will try to introduce a Luke Skywalker cameo meeting up with Wim eventually?
In
And Wim
season
just
one,
freaking out. And Wim just freaking out going, a real Jedi. And it's like, that's where I think that might be going, because, he obviously is a wannabe Jedi.
I think he has. So I've kind of gone back and forth with this. I think it depends on. Some of it depends on how old the Old Republic kind of stuff is. It's like, because to me, it seems like he has this fascination, like the Jedi are this mystical group, kind of like the High Republic Jedi, where like there's a million of them and it's not an isolated individual. And so he sees them as kind of like these crazy medieval knights. And so like, I think if he were to learn about like Luke Skywalker, like modern Jedi, the Imperial thing, it's like, I think you'd almost need like 3 episodes for him to just like process this and be like, wait, it's not like high fantasy Lord of the Rings. Like the Jedi are the heroes. It's like, no, he's like a literal kid who like kind of killed his dad and like did all these things and like not literally, but it's like he's
and
real.
The Jedi are
like,
all dead,
Yeah, they're all dead. It's like, well, wait a minute, what? And they're not like fairy people. Like they're not like fairy tale people. They don't wear like long swishing robes and do all these crazy things. And so I could see them doing it. I hope they don't in season 1. I hope that would be like an expanded upon thing. Like they learn and they figure out like the importance of getting home and all that. And then like, let that be like the season 3 of Mando, kind of like, let stuff get weird later. Because there's a part of me that's like, okay, the reason I'm saying like season 3 is like, because I can't figure out like when they, at the end of the season, hypothetically, they get home. Jod is like, I can't stay here. See ya. KB's like, cool. I like my family. I'm going home. Neil's like, I got it great. Going home. Fern's like, I'm going to go tell my mom what's for, and I'm staying here. But like Wim's like, I don't really like my dad. Like, could Wim just be like, I'm going with you? Like that would be, that would be wild. Where was I going? Oh, it's like, so he could go off and be on adventures and maybe meet Luke Skywalker or meet all these people and do all this crazy stuff, which would be weird, but also interesting. I keep getting into this weird loop of like, where are people going to end up? But all I have to say, I don't know. That'd be cool at some point. I hope not season 1.
You'd like to hope that women, Mr. Wendell, is it? His dad would sort of have some sort of arc where, his dad sort of apologizes for not showing him attention and blah, blah, blah. But like, there's got to be something there. I don't know. The opening scene had him sort of, he didn't say anything during the opening scene, did he? Wim's dad. He was just looking off into the distance. Yeah.
And I think that's what's interesting. It's like, I've seen multiple people interpret that differently. Like from the beginning, I've had that kind of inkling of like, Wim's dad doesn't do what he says he does, because I just had that, like, it would suck if it was my thing of like, oh, he knows more than he thinks. I'd like him to be innocent just like the other parents and really just want Wim back, and they have that arc of like, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, I can't help but be stuck in that place of like, he's more in the know than he thinks, than other people think he is. And it's like, and that's why he's just so like lost. It's like, they're like, we need to do this. We need to get the supervisor. We need to get yada, yada, yada going. And Wim's dad just like, you're all barking up the wrong tree. Maybe thinking more practical.
Yeah.
So yeah, Skeleton Crew. It sounds like we're getting good reviews. Looking forward to the next couple episodes. Interestingly enough, they're not taking next week off, even though it's going to be holiday week, and so it'll be interesting to get some.
We get Christmas is on a Wednesday over here. Well, obviously Wednesday for you, but our episodes get released on a Wednesday, which is your Tuesday night, and so I'll be watching 1 p.m. on Christmas Day with the family at home.
Nice.
That'll be good times. Yeah.
It's like, stop crinkling the wrapping paper. It's like, I'm trying to hear.
Yeah, we've already got the family Christmas sorted, so we don't do anything else on Christmas Day except stay home.
No, you played accordingly. You're already all set.
Yeah.
But nice. That'll be fun. But anyways, moving on. Oh, I forgot about my week. My week's pretty simple. I've been watching
Oh, yeah.
Skeleton Crew.
How was your week? I forgot to ask.
My week's been okay. We started getting snow. That's fine. Whatever. It's a little bit different than your weather you're having over there. I've been making I've been started making some candy. That's been fun for the holidays. Experimenting with some new stuff. So that's exciting. And I've been playing a new game to pull me. Another thing to pull me away from Outlaws. I've been playing the new Indiana Jones game. The Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
And I'm really enjoying it. It is. I mean, it is what you think it is. Like the beginning of it is, you kind of replaying like scenes from the movies, and then it kind of goes into its own original thing. And I like it because it is more like there's action, but it is more kind of puzzle based and like kind of navigating around, and it's not fully platform. I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. Like the world building, the scenery. It's really exciting. I'm not terribly far in it, but what I've seen so far, it looks really, really good, and we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if it ties into anything, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I've heard
So
some good
cool.
things. Hopefully, it's an Xbox thing, isn't it, or PC first?
I am playing it on Xbox at the moment, but I believe it is on Xbox and PC. Yes.
Yeah, hopefully
sounds
Andy
great.
gets to play that one while he's recovering or going through that.
Just wheel the whole setup into wherever he's at, and just.
I thought you said he had a Steam Deck. Maybe a Steam Deck, maybe?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can play it on there.
I'm sure he's got some codes.
He's probably maybe he's playing Outlaws and trying to get that 100%. That's probably what he's doing. But
I don't think we get that on. I've got PS5, so we don't get that till much later. I think halfway through next year. It's an exclusive, I think, for.
Gotcha. Yeah. Nice, but yeah, and so maybe by then you'll know if it's good or not. Like early impressions for me, good. Full impressions, I don't know. TBD, we'll find out. It could just go off. It could go terribly. Who knows? We'll find out. But other than that, man, I don't have a whole lot else going on this week. I don't believe. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just prepping for the holidays. Really hoping. We had a huge earthquake. We had a big earthquake the other day. That was kind of crazy. We don't really get those up in the mountains very often. Shook the whole house. That was fun. Yeah, other than that,
any damage?
I think.
Any damage to anything fall off shelves?
Some cereal boxes fell off some shelving. The cats were not a fan. What in the hell is going on? Had a bear visitor the other day. Talked to him.
Always.
He was not a fan of me asking him, talking to him, interviewing him.
I still think that's wild. You just get bears hanging out in your backyard, that's wild.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, yeah. It'd be one thing if they were like grizzly bears. Like if we had grizzly bears, I wouldn't live here. Like I'm not. Like I don't know if you ever saw Revenant with like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes,
like we don't have those bears. Those bears scare me to death. Not those. We just have like little black bears that are like I talk to them from my deck and they puff and run away. Unless it's a mom and I'm close to their baby, then that's the different story. But yeah, it is kind of weird at times, and it's like I'm like a little kid every time I see him. Like I want to take a picture of that, even though I have a phone full of them. But yeah, they're dumb, but it's fun until they get in your trash can. They drag. It's the most stressful thing in the world when they get in your trash can and you have to try to chase a bear down that's dragging a trash bag with your trash in it. And like I don't want my trash. Like if it tears up my trash bag on my property, that's one thing. But I don't want to pick up my trash from somebody else's property. It's like that's.
And especially not if it's scattered everywhere as well.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, like what is in that trash bag? Like I don't even know. It could be anything. Hard talent. Like you never know. It's like, oh God, get back here. Come back. That hasn't happened since we first moved in. We have bear bins and stuff now, but it still lives in your head. Like, what if they got it? What if they got it and they just drug our trash all around the neighborhood, and everybody could go out there and pick through and go, "Ha, that's Sean's trash. What an idiot!" No, my gosh, it's the things we worry about. But anyways, let's talk about celebration. The road to celebration, part 3. I struggled with this when we first started. I told you, I'm like, crap, I got to remember, like, Andy's usually the one who's like wheeling and dealing with this part. I'm like, crap, I got to remember what his questions even are. It's like, I'm pretty sure one of them is, are you going to Celebration Japan? Well, so we'll start there. That seems like an easy one.
Start at the most current celebration. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I love Celebration. I have had a great time at Celebration, and I feel like I'm going to go to Celebration every celebration there is until I die. I don't know. I really made a lot of great friends, including yourself, over the years. But yes, I am going to Japan. I've booked my flights. I got the tickets. Obviously, we booked the hotel. I think the same hotel that you shared, I booked. And yeah, even though some of the listeners may know, I have just got back from Japan in October with my family trip to Japan. So we did Tokyo and Osaka and Disney parks and Universal Studios and all that good stuff. So I am up to date. I know how to navigate Tokyo, the craziness of Tokyo. And Sean, you've been there recently, I think last year, was it?
Last October, yeah. I was there about a year ago.
Yeah, so I love that country. I would not miss Celebration Japan for the world. So I am coming solo, and one of my good friends from, I would say, school since I was about 6 or 7 years old is coming along with his family.
Nice.
With a few of his other friends. And yeah, his name's Clint. So obviously I've had a group of Star Wars friends since, early days of school. And there's sort of 3 or 4 friends, just the only ones that like Star Wars, but we kept to ourselves, and it was all fun times. And my friend Clint actually asked if I wanted to go to Celebration way back in 2005, I think. I think it might have been Celebration 3. It was the Indianapolis one.
That's
Revenge of the Sith era.
That's actually my first one that's the first one I ever went to. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, this was, obviously a while ago, and Revenge of the Sith era. But so he went, but during that time I was like, well, I have literally just bought a house, I think the year before, possibly, had a mortgage, had a very busy job, and no time. And I was like, I can't justify going to Celebration. I just can't, right? And so he went and he told me all about it. Had a great time. He did talk about the queues and the queues for the shop and the merch, and so all that kind of good stuff. He brought me back a art piece. I think it was an Amidala, Queen Amidala graffiti photo, framed. So kind of cool. He talked about all the art pieces you could find there, and I was kind of intrigued, but I went on with my life. Had our first kid the year after, like 2007, I think. So yeah, life gets in the way, right, of Star Wars, and it was always there with me, but in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe I should have just gone to that celebration, because So yeah, life moves on, and it wasn't until sort of the Force Awakens, Rogue One era, I think. Time is a bit of a blur. Yeah, started listening to all the podcasts that you and I had probably both commonly listened to, like Steel Wars and The Bad Motivators, RIP. Get it by
Those guys hate each other, don't they?
Yeah, I heard that. Sort of Sithliths, Blue Harvest, and just started sort of connecting with people, and it was a good time just to sort of share that excitement of Force Awakens and that sort of thing. I used to write into voicemails to and emails to those guys, and I felt part of something again.
Yeah. Like a sense of
And
community. Like,
yeah, and I
like
didn't
around
know I
something.
needed it because like during all those years and even before, and during the dark times or anything, I always kept my Star Wars to just my friends and my family. I was like, I don't need to talk to anyone else about Star Wars. It's like, why do I care what anyone else thinks? Like, yeah, I've
Yeah.
got my friends. Um, but yeah, it was a good time. And I think it's a similar story to Catherine. Sort of met Catherine at one of Star Wars shows in Sydney. I think it was at Chippendale Hotel, the Chippo, around the time of Rogue One. So I met her there and then decided to go down to Steele's live show in Melbourne, midnight screening of The Last Jedi.
Nice.
And that's kind of where it all started. I was like, the spark of Celebration started where I thought, maybe I'll go to Celebration, you know? I met up with, I met Josh and Andy and Matt Frost, Frush down there. It was a wild time. Like, you do watching a midnight session, you get out at 2 or 3. Next door, you go to a Irish pub, and then you listen to Steele and his friends live on stage talk about what we just saw. And what we just saw in The Last Jedi was like, the number one thing out of that movie was, what the hell did we just see? Like,
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
yeah,
I couldn't
we're
imagine
all,
even trying to talk about that. The second you get out of there, be like, I need a minute.
yeah.
That'd be wild.
And then, yeah, I literally was there in Melbourne for like probably 12 hours total and just flew back in the morning and went back to work. 6:30 a.m. flight and then straight back to work. So that was a really like intense time of Star Wars. And yeah, I think we sort of, between us, most of those guys are in Melbourne, and we planted the seed of Celebration and went to Chicago. Yeah.
Was Chicago, so Chicago's your first one? Yeah.
Yes, that's my first one. So that's kind of like the origin story of Celebration for me. But Chicago was a wild time. Now, my memory of meeting you is blurry because I'm fairly sure I met you first at Steele's live show.
Probably. Yeah.
And I remember you had a very loud Hawaiian shirt or Hawaiian style. Like, that's your thing. Like, that was my memory of you. Like,
yep, that's probably correct. Yeah.
When I say loud, I'd say it's a compliment.
No. That was during my time when I think all of my shirts were like button ups that had, it was probably like a watermelon, like watermelons or Star Wars ships or something ridiculous. Like I had, the whole point was I'd been promoted to like as a manager at my job, and I come from consulting where like I used to do shirts and ties, and I'm like, when I moved out to California, I'm like, I'm never wearing shirts and ties ever again. And so they're like, got promoted to manager. I'm like, I'm just gonna wear Hawaii, like these stupid shirts every day. And so then it just became like my wardrobe, and then it just became a thing. And so that is, you definitely met me if you remember the ridiculous shirts that I was probably wearing at that show. Yep.
But it's crazy because like you look back at that time, and I've seen photos where you're in the background all the time of a photo that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so Sean's sort of hovering around, sort of talking to a few people. And what's your memory of that live show? Was that the brewery? I forget the brewery name, in Chicago. But
honestly, I couldn't tell you what that place was. Like, and that's no shade against whatever that place was. I just remember being like a very long room. Like it was upstairs, and it's like, was it a bar? Was it just an empty place? Was it an art gallery that we just rented out? I don't know. My memory of that was exactly what you described, but with my own personal feelings of awkwardness the entire time that I feel like I've described a million times, that I wish I would never have had, that were completely unjustified. And especially now that more time's gone by and I know more people that were there. Like I sat next to Jess Schroeder, and then I'm pretty sure next to her was Catherine, and everybody, like, I know everybody.
I was in that same row. I was sitting in that same row. Yeah.
That's like, I'm pretty sure I was sitting by everybody that I now know. And it was funny. It's like, oh, they'll post a picture. It's like, yeah, I think I posted a picture, and Jess was like, that's my sweater. Like, that's next to you. I'm like, oh yeah, I was sitting there. That was me. The whole thing was very weird. Chicago was the first one where I feel like I broke out of my shell of like, there was like the podcasting inner circles where I was like, inner circle, these are all like my terms and I felt as I'm not like a literal. I'm like, oh, those are the podcasters. Those are the people who know each other. And like, I don't want to be the weirdo. I'm just a listener. But that, like, I went to Orlando and was on the outside. But then Chicago was when I first was like, all right, I'm going to be a big boy, put my big boy pants on, and I'm going to go go check it out. And then, yeah, it was like, I went there, talked to people, and I was like, oh, I know you. I know those people, the yada, yada, yada. And it's just funny looking back on it now. It's like, yeah, I knew of a lot of people then. And I've been looming around in the shadows for many, many years. But just that whole like imposter syndrome, like, oh, I don't want to come across as weird, even though we're at the same thing. And everybody's like looking at you, telling you, be like, just say hi. We're not, whatever. You're like, yeah, they're talking to everybody else, not me. They're talking, they definitely don't want you to do that. Like, but then over time you realize like, no, I should have just not wasted all that time. But it's still fun. Like I still met people were always friendly, but it's like you get out of what you put into it. And if I was the one being like, okay, I think I've overstayed my welcome, I'm going to go leave now, go do my thing. That was on me, not on anybody else.
Yeah.
But no, I had a great time. That was fun. Chicago, I think, is one of the ones where I know it's big with our group, like our group of close friends, because that's one of the ones where I feel like a lot of people were there. But even outside of that, I feel like Chicago, to me, was probably one of the I don't want to say the wildest. Like, well, I just say the word wild. Like that was probably one of the most fun celebrations. Like that in London. London, I think, for different reasons. Because I think because of our group of friends. But
Yeah.
Chicago was just so different than all of the others. Like, if they bring it back to the U.S., they're like, oh, it should be in Anaheim or Florida. I'm like, Orlando could never happen again, and I'd be very happy. I hate that. I hate that.
Actually, when you say, when I said I would go to every celebration, I really don't really want to go to Florida or that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what a celebration would be like. Yeah, I like, talking about Chicago, I like being in a city so that you can do things in the city. Like London, that's why London was great.
Yeah.
Because you can explore London. But if you go to Florida, it's like you're just going there for Disney. Like I don't see anything else around it.
Well, it's not walkable. There's not good like transport to things. Like that's what I liked about Chicago. That's what I liked about London was that you could get on transport and go pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you didn't need to rent a car. You didn't need to Uber everywhere. Like Orlando, I do not like the convention center. I do not like its location. Disney's close, but not that close. It's not Anaheim, where you could technically you could walk if you wanted to. But yeah, Chicago is I think probably one of my favorites besides London, which I think was just
you're right. It was
my favorite for different reasons.
It was kind of crazy. There was like that. Did you ever go? I think you went to that haunted hotel bar. Did you go to that one?
I believe I did. That whole week was a
blur.
That was a blur. Because I also had family. Because I'm from Indiana, and so I had my parents came up and visited. I have family in Chicago. It was wild. That's how I met Rick Villanueva, because he gave me tickets to get my parents in celebration, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" And it's like, "This is what I come to." And they're like, "What in the world is going?" That whole week was a blur. So I think I did, but I don't remember fully.
So you mentioned about talking to people. Chicago was, it was interesting. There was a whole group of people in this house. You might have referred to it as Echo Base.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people there. That was wild, and it's other stories for other people to tell. So us Australians visited Echo Base occasionally, and we went back to our Airbnb. But what's interesting is it's kind of this origin story of I guess the Scruffys in a way, because the Scruffy guys were staying in the same house as Echo Base, but above Echo Base. I don't know if you knew this.
No, I didn't know that.
This was before a time before Chris Paul was on Scruffys. So that's how Chris met. And again, that's a story for them. You could get them on the show. But that's how Chris and Kev met and realized they live very close to each other. So that started the whole Scruffies thing.
Nice.
So yeah, that was wild. Good friends, Scruffies. Everyone I met there is, friends to this day, I would say. Good times.
Yeah. So you went to Chicago. Have you
Yep.
been to, and you were at London. I remember
Yep.
you there. I get them all
I
messed
did
up.
go to Anaheim.
You did go
Yes.
to Anaheim. I'd
Yeah.
say the Anaheim was the other one that was another big one.
Yeah.
What
That was
did you think?
that was that weird sort of mid-COVID sort of
Mhm.
one where you had to wear face masks. That was I had some, in terms of the convention itself, I didn't enjoy the convention itself as much as what happened outside the convention. So there's a theme here, right? Most of what I'm talking about is the people I met and the friends I've met. And it's not so much about the convention itself. I would say for Anaheim, my most favorite panel was the Creatures of the Return of the Jedi. I don't know if you saw that one with the Blast Points guys, Tom Spina and Kirk Thatcher, who was one of the puppeteers or puppet
Nice.
makers on Return of the Jedi. That was a very cool thing. But apart from that, most of my memories of that are around, like one of my favorite things ever was watching Kev at their Airbnb early morning, watching Forest get promoted to the Premier League. That's absolutely probably one of my most favorite things ever. Watching Kev watch football is the best.
That's awesome.
That's and again the origin story of Kev and Emily at that celebration. It'd be interesting to get them on to talk about their experience with celebration.
Yeah,
that's their story to tell. But I've really enjoyed seeing that relationship flourish, and they're getting married in next year in May.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that like some of these, just something like Star Wars, or like it's not directly related to Star Wars, but like tangentially, it's like the things that we do go to this and this, like, and it's bringing people together like that, and
yeah,
it's like wow.
Other memories of that one, I went to a few breweries with Eddie B and Mark and Strut, I think. So a lot of good breweries around Anaheim. Obviously Steel Show. And another unrelated thing, and I don't know if I told you this one. You may have seen me drunk one afternoon at Celebration. I follow Liverpool FC. They were in the Champions League final, so this is like a big deal. All of Europe Champions League final in Paris.
Okay.
And I think it was 8 a.m. in the morning or 9 a.m. start. And I skipped Celebration that morning. I got an Uber to a bar in somewhere in Anaheim called Rock and Brews.
I remember seeing the messages about this. Yes, I remember this now. Yeah.
Called the Rock and Brews, and I think it was owned by some of the Kiss guys, maybe. Anyway, a bar which was the official Liverpool supporter club of Anaheim. And so I got there really early, started drinking early with my newfound Liverpool buddies at the bar, and the game was delayed, so we drank more. The game was delayed by an hour in Paris due to crowd issues. And we lost. So I was there drowning my sorrows till about, 1 p.m. Head back to the convention, and it was all a blur for me because I was kind of sad that we lost. Heading back to Star Wars, I didn't know what was going on. I was bumping into people, and I was pretty drunk. So yeah, that was interesting time that afternoon. Not drunk to the point of being dysfunctional, but like, yeah. Sometimes if you stop drinking, you're sort of getting a mid hangover, and you're like, well,
you kind of get the midday headache. Yeah,
it's
like
that's what I had. And then we had Steele's show that night, so I think I bumped into you at Steele's show as well, and I was probably a bit.
Oh, I was. By the time that show was over, I was done.
Yeah,
I was good, and cause I like to partake there.
Partake,
and then I'm also the moron who's like, I live in California. I could walk back to my hotel, not realizing that it's like a 2-mile like drive to Steele's show, and everybody else is like, oh, we're doing this. It's like I'm I've still got like 45 minutes left on my walk back. Like I got distracted and I've made friends and yeah, so I know that. I know that life. That was a good time. That Steel Show was fun.
Yeah,
That was
like
the
I
one
said,
where the crazy Chris Hall poster came out. Like the fan
the
fiction.
erotic fan fiction. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Darth Maul and
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. Yeah, I've got that signed poster. I need to frame it. But Emily and Chris. Yeah,
I think we all have that same thing. It's like, I have that. I got to frame it, and then I got to find somewhere to hang it. And I don't know how that's gonna go over. But I definitely still have it though. It's signed by. Yeah, it's fun. People who do not know what we're talking about. Yeah, their imaginations could not even begin to fathom what that poster looks like. And it's fantastic.
We should share it again, just as a reminder of celebration. Celebration's past.
The world's a different place, and it's like, man, it really was a fever dream at that in Anaheim.
Yeah, it was a fever dream. I would call that the fever dreams because I also got COVID. I don't know if you did too, but I landed and I think it was the scruffy guys. I think Chris and Kev said, we've got tested positive. So I landed after that at home and told my wife that I should get tested before I come into the house. And so I tested myself straight away positive. I didn't feel bad or anything. I was really just exhausted, tired from the long haul flight home and just, I didn't really get impacted by COVID, but I was COVID positive. So after getting home for a week away in Anaheim, my family had made me sleep in my study under the house on a sofa bed for a week. And I wasn't allowed in the house for a week until I tested negative.
The gift that keeps on giving.
It really was a fever dream of a celebration. Like, intense.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't feel like it, like, but when, like, the further a celebration gets, and I start to think back on it, and I start to tell the story, like, not like tell the stories like it's a Vegas trip or something, but like you just reminisce with it. It's like, it does make it sound like it's this thing.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's wild in terms of, like a Vegas trip or anything. It's just,
it's not
intense. It's just intense. It's intense. Yeah. Like, again, I'm the type of person that doesn't, I always say I'll sleep when I'm dead. So if there's somebody to go or do or people to meet, I will go to a bar or whatever. I'll have an intense time while I'm away, and I can just sleep later. It's fine. So it's like sleep deprivation. It's sensory overload with the actual celebration floor, looking at a whole lot of things and the number of people and crowds, and it's just intense. But ultimately,
being strategic too of like when you're going to eat, what you're wearing. It's like, I don't want to have to go back and do this. It's like, we're going to do this later, and like getting up early and yada, yada, yada. It's like, you get out of what you put into it. And I don't want to, and also like having a place so you're staying, like, be strategic. That's a big one for me anymore. It's like, I don't want to be 45-minute Uber away if everybody's hanging out and doing something. But,
and like you said, London was a great time as well. Again, meeting up with Andy. So I don't know what your first. I think you've told your first meeting of Andy, and I think I met Andy in the beer hall near the beer machines, the vending machines.
The beer vending machines.
Yeah, and because obviously I didn't know what he looked like, and I knew of Andy through Twitter, and I think we were following each other. But it's one of those things. And I went up and introduced myself, and he goes, "Yeah, Turbo, I know who you are." I'm like, "Really?" It's like, and then I realized it was Andy, and but yeah, that enough a good friendship, and can't say enough good things about Andy. Like, true gentleman, great guy, very generous. So shout out to Andy, we love you.
He's a good dude. He didn't spend years messing around, being nervous. He just came straight in. I mean, we did
straight in. Yeah.
He did ask me to meet him at a hotel bar in a foreign country, even though we'd never had no idea what each other looked like. So that part is weird looking back on, but everything turned out all right. So I think no regrets, and he's a good dude.
I didn't we also meet at the the beer garden at Hackney.
That was, so I'd met him 30 minutes. I'd met him for the first time 30 minutes before that. He met me at my hotel in the bar to go to Hackney.
See, maybe I'm getting mixed up. That's where I met Andy. Yeah, that's definitely where I met Andy, because I remember drinking Guinness with him.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And then I think after a couple Guinnesses, I'm like, hey, by the way, I have no idea where I am. Somebody's getting me home, right? Like, because I am not close to the convention center anymore. I was close. I knew where to go. Now I do not. I am very far. And they're like, yes, we will make sure that you get home. It's like, well, this is perfect. I will call you a friend forever. And that was fantastic. Yeah. And now here we are.
Yeah, London was good times. I'm sure we've told a lot of stories about that one because it's the most recent. Again, the convention itself was a bit of a blur. Again, my favorite parts are the people I've met and sharing good times. I mean, I even took a whole morning off celebration to go record shopping with Chris, Kev, and Emily in London. So we went record shopping at our record hall, vinyl. Yeah, celebration. The convention itself's almost like an afterthought.
It's the reason that brings everybody together, but that's not like the most fun. And speaking of that, is there anything in Japan that you're looking forward to the most with that celebration? Like, is there anything like, oh, Japan celebration, I'm really looking forward to XYZ?
Obviously the Visions panel, so I'm keen to see that because I was really into the first season of that. Just in general, like Japanese artwork, artists' interpretations of Star Wars, Japanese bootleg toys is a big one. Yes. And that's a rabbit hole. I know Chris and Kev talk about it as well, but it is a rabbit hole. I'm hoping to meet up with this, I think I told you guys about a Star Wars themed bar I went to in Osaka. It was a bootleg Star Wars toy bar in Osaka. So everything the owner made was like either made by himself, 3D printers, but he has a whole range of like bootleg toys. He gave me a little Chewie. And I asked him if he's going to Celebration. He said, yes, absolutely. So I don't know if he'll have a place to sell things there, but you know, these sort of things I'm looking forward to most. Just the uniqueness of Japan and the Japanese artwork and just, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Same. I think mine's exactly the same. Like the biggest ones, artwork, bootleg toys, all the same stuff. All the stuff that would be really expensive over here, like especially like the model stuff, like all the modeling companies that aren't international. Like, I'm hoping I don't spend a ton of money over there, but we'll see. The thing that's gonna be really bad is everybody's gonna be like, hey, I'm not discouraging people from doing this, just so everybody knows. But I know everybody's gonna be like, hey, can you grab me this thing and that thing while you're there? Be like, I should have brought more suitcases. I gotta figure out how to get all this crap back.
Yeah, that is the one factor where you have to be very selective about what you bring back. I think Catherine mentioned it last time, but us Australians, when we first went to Chicago, we were just amazed at all the Black Series figures and figures. Like, we bought up big time. Like, I had an extra whole suitcase, and because it's stuff like that is extremely expensive over in Australia, and even with the exchange rate, US exchange rate is still much, much cheaper to buy there. But yeah, and then subsequent celebrations, I didn't really buy much. I bought sort of unique things here and there, but just trinkets and bits and bobs.
I just gotta stop buying big stuff. Like it's the skateboard decks that kill me. It's like, especially when I don't bring a bag that can fit them, and it's like, well, I guess this is a carry-on. But I do like all the little weird trinkets. Like I'm done buying shirts and like the clothing and stuff like that. Like I'm more into the Star Wars Celebration nesting, like the Ewok nesting dolls. Like I got those in London. It's like those have not been put away since they came out. Like more stuff like that, or the art. I think the artwork's really good too because I can sneak that into the house if it fits a theme and it's not too Star Warsy. Then
apart from that, I guess we're just assuming at this stage that Andor premiere will be there. Diego Luna's been announced officially. They'd be crazy not to have a preview of the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially since they bumped up Skeleton Crew, I think they'll do something. I mean, I think they'll need to bump it. Like I've said before, it's like I think they'll need to bump it up. They won't have it on the last day of Celebration, like after closing ceremonies or anything like that. Like that'd be weird.
Yeah.
Like so they need to bump it up 2 days, or at least just to release it for everybody. Like let everybody watch it, but then we get to watch it in like a room. That'd be neat. In Japanese or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever it is. And we are all us friends are going to be emotional support for Catherine. So we're all going to be here for Catherine.
So
and
how did so if she gets a photo, how does that work? Does she just if she gets a photo? Does she just pay for the photo and then she gets to be in it? Like, can we all walk through with her as like emotional support? Or like,
I think we have to try. We have to try.
Like, I don't know how the photos work. You pay per person? Do you pay for like as a group of 10?
I don't do photos. You're asking the wrong person. The thing about photos and signatures, I just don't want another queue to stand in. I know there's time allocations, but you just spend a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
And that time could be well spent, having a beer from the vending machine with your friends, if it's like, I don't want to queue anything any more than I have to. So
the beer vending machines were the greatest invention.
Yes.
Like I hope that Japan has it. They won't probably, but that was genius.
Oh, Japan are big on vending machines. So
no, that is true.
Be surprised. Yeah.
That is true.
Like, think about, I would love to know the number of vending machines in Japan. Like there must be a per capita vending machine statistics, but they are,
they're everywhere.
Just everywhere.
Yeah. And I wanted them to fill them. That's what always fascinated me because I never see them being filled. Like you can go and you see the ones that are like, oh, you can get cold tea or hot tea. You get hot drinks out of them. And it's like, who is filling this? Where?
Yeah.
I've never seen them get refilled, but people are always buying stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating country. But
yeah. And I think with Japan, as you know, the sort of geography of where we're at, I know we're technically in Tokyo, Greater Tokyo, but it's not really Tokyo. So I think we'll be spending a lot of time locally around Celebration and maybe a day here or there either side. But I'm only going for a total of 6 days, I think. So a shorter trip for me, just sticking to Tokyo. And I don't think I'll do Disney again because having recently done it in October. So
it's going to be a bit chaotic too, I'm sure, with everybody.
Unless they're... I think there isn't going to be, I don't think there will be a Disney night, Star Wars Disney night, because the park closes at 9, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas Anaheim's midnight, isn't it? Or 11?
Yeah, and especially with Disney not owning those parks, I don't think they're willing to do as much of the bonus stuff for conventions and whatever to make it work.
But it is interesting. The hotel blocks are all around the Disney area.
It is interesting. Word on the street, I've seen. I don't really follow this stuff much, but I have seen rumors recently that more blocks closer to the hotel are supposed to be opening soon. Which I won't get on my soapbox about how weird this whole hotel thing has been. Because I still don't think they've released anything close to the hotel. Like we all have like an understanding. We all believe we all have rooms and like, but it's like, it just feels weird. Like I have reservations. Like they exist.
Yeah. Well, we have reservations, but I don't think they took for that hotel. They didn't take a credit card.
They do not have any of my money.
It's just an email. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a confirmation number and I have lots of confirmation numbers. And so it's like, I wish they would take some money from me so I would feel better, but I don't think they will. I think it's just kind of how it works. But yeah, that it's all very weird, but I'm excited nonetheless. It'll all work out. Yeah. Any closing thoughts on Celebration Japan? Words of wisdom, do's, don'ts,
just
predictions.
I know we always talk about it, but like the circumstance you were in where you wasn't sure if you should talk to people and you're in your own head. And
yep.
Number one thing is I know people Some people find it hard to talk to new people. But if you see me, if anyone sees me, or I would just say, just go and talk to people. I know it sounds easy, but we're all in this Star Wars thing together. We have a common thing that we love, and you'll be surprised, and you'll meet a lot of great friends over time. So, yeah, it's a friend you make along the way. It's always what it is.
At the end of the day, we can always talk Star Wars. You know, like you run out of stuff to talk about, you can always just talk about Star Wars, and that'll carry half of us at least a couple days. So, gold.
I do find that when I'm there, we don't really talk Star Wars.
No, not really at all.
No, because you get to know people more and about what they like.
Yeah, where they're from.
And like meeting Chris and Kev and talking about records and bands that they see. Like they're like kindred spirits across the other side of the world. Like we like the same music. You know, we collect records and go to gigs all the time. And like I really don't think I ever talk to Chris or Kev or many of my friends about Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. It's like even
apart from like this sort of podcast here where we're recapping things, but just
you're recapping stuff. But like we're not standing in lines just talking. What's your favorite Star Wars ship? Who's your favorite character? We're not doing the quiz. It's mostly what did you do? I don't know. What did you have for dinner? Like what? Well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what we talk about half the time, but I can tell you it's not Star Wars most of the time.
It's not Star Wars, yeah.
It's trying to understand why Andy's ordering cabs from the hotel lobbies, but you could just.
That is funny, yeah.
No, that was a good time. But cool. I do know. Well, I can't believe we've been talking for an hour and 40. I want to respect your time a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, we've already gone this long.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Tell the people where they can find you, Mr. Turbo, if they want to see you.
I guess these days would be Blue Sky, Turbo 1975. I use it less than I did Twitter, but I like that place. It's got a good vibe, block people easy. Yeah, let's hit me up. Say hi.
Good deal. Then, well, once again, thank you so much for coming on. I know Andy really appreciates it. You reached out to me, made it even easier. Just one talking about Celebration, one having somebody to talk to about Skeleton Crew, and
Yep.
I really appreciate it. And it's always fun get to see our friends' bright and shining faces and talk about that stuff stuff we enjoy.
I appreciate you having me on anytime.
Good deal.
Happy to chat.
Yeah. But everybody else, thank you for checking us out again. You know where to find us at. You can check us out on our website, justshillin.com, where you can find links to all of our social medias, including Instagram, Blue Sky, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Links to the podcast, which you're currently listening to, so I don't know why you'd need it. Feel free to send us an email or voicemail. Or if you're cool like Sal, you can leave a comment on a Spotify podcast that I'm not sure where it goes, but I did get a notification. I saw it. Thank you, Sal. Yeah, that was wild. Thank you. Until next week. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Aye.
Aye.